The cold, sterile laboratory hummed with the soft whirring of advanced computer systems. Yuna Kim stood motionless, her dark eyes fixed on the flickering screen before her. Something was different today. The satellite data streaming across the monitors didn't look like typical space noise. She adjusted her glasses, fingers dancing across the keyboard. The signal was strange, complex mathematical patterns that seemed to pulse with an intelligent rhythm. It wasn't random. It wasn't natural. It was deliberate. Outside the window, Seoul's skyline glimmered in the early morning light. Most researchers would have dismissed the anomaly, but Yuna was different. Her reputation for catching impossible details preceded her. Where others saw static, she saw potential, the signal repeated. A precise sequence of mathematical equations embedded within what appeared to be cosmic background radiation. Each repetition was slightly modified, like a coded message waiting to be understood. Unbeknownst to Yuna, thousands of light years away, Jay Park leaned over his own monitoring system. His alien eyes, more complex than human vision, scanned Earth's genetic databases with a hunter's precision. Humanity was a curiosity, a potential resource, a species worth studying. The research facility where Yuna worked was considered one of the most advanced genetic research centers in the world. Cutting-edge technology surrounded her. Advanced computers, genetic sequencing machines, quantum analysis, tools that could decode the most complex biological puzzles. But today, something was different. The signal continued its mathematical dance. Yuna began recording. She isolated each frequency, each mathematical pattern. Something about this transmission felt alive. It wasn't just data. It was a message. Her colleague, Dr. Kim Seong-min, entered the room. "Another late night?" he asked. Noticing her intense concentration, Yuna didn't respond immediately. Her fingers moved quickly, creating complex algorithms to decode the transmission. "This isn't normal space noise," she muttered. Seong-min looked over her shoulder. Years of scientific training had taught him to be skeptical, but even he couldn't deny the strange patterns emerging on the screen. The signal contained genetic information, not just random genetic data, but structured, purposeful genetic codes that seemed to suggest something extraordinary. It was as if someone or something was sending a detailed biological blueprint. Jay Park, light years away, watched his own monitoring systems. His civilization had been searching for unique genetic resources across the galaxy. Humanity represented something special, unpredictable, adaptable. Back in the laboratory, Yuna realized she was looking at something revolutionary. These genetic sequences suggested capabilities beyond current human understanding. Adaptive mechanisms. Survival protocols embedded in biological code that defied conventional scientific explanation. The transmission lasted exactly 17 minutes and 42 seconds. Then, silence. Yuna sat back, her mind racing. Who sent this? Why? The genetic information was too precise to be accidental, too complex to be random space noise. Little did she know an alien hunter was preparing his next move. Humanity had just become more than a curiosity. They had become a target. Outside the laboratory, Seoul continued its daily rhythm. Traffic moved, people worked. The city remained unaware that something extraordinary had just happened. A first contact was silently unfolding. Jay Park allowed himself a small, calculated smile. The hunt was about to begin. Yuna Kim saved her data, her hands slightly trembling. Something big was coming. She could feel it in her bones. The first encounter had just happened, and nothing would be the same again. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this part of the story? The Daejeon Science Complex stood as a beacon of technological advancement, its glass and steel structure reflecting the bright morning sunlight. Inside, Jay Park moved with calculated precision, his holographic camouflage making him appear as a new research assistant. No one looked twice at the seemingly ordinary man in a white lab coat. His disguise was perfect, down to the smallest detail. Synthetic skin that mimicked human texture, contact lenses that replicated human eye color. Even his walk was a carefully studied imitation of human movement. Yuna's earlier discovery had triggered a global network of scientific surveillance. But Jay was always one step ahead. He needed human genetic samples, and this facility was his primary target. The laboratory buzzed with activity. Researchers moved between workstations, their conversations a mix of scientific jargon and casual chatter. Jay listened carefully, absorbing every nuance of human communication. A young researcher named Min Ho dropped a stack of genetic sample containers. As he bent to collect them, Jay smoothly stepped forward to help. His fingers brushed against a sample tray collecting microscopic genetic material with a technology so advanced it was invisible to human detection. "Thanks," Min Ho said, barely making eye contact. Jay nodded, his smile practiced and precise. Each interaction was a calculated risk, a delicate dance of potential exposure and successful information gathering. The facility's security was complex. Biometric scanners, restricted access zones, multiple authentication protocols. But for Jay, these were mere puzzles waiting to be solved. His technological capabilities far exceeded human security systems. During a routine lunch break, Jay observed the human researchers. They were fascinating creatures, emotional, unpredictable, driven by complex motivations beyond pure scientific pursuit. A researcher laughed at a joke. Another argued passionately about a recent scientific theory. Their humanity was their greatest strength and their most significant vulnerability. Yuna was not in the facility that day, but her presence lingered. Her previous research on the strange cosmic transmission had created a subtle undercurrent of excitement and speculation among her colleagues. Jay carefully uploaded a microscopic data collector into the facility's central computer system. It would gather information, create false logs, and ensure his presence remained undetected. Each movement was calculated. Each action had a specific purpose. The genetic samples he collected were extraordinary. Human DNA was more complex than his civilization had initially understood. Adaptive mechanisms, unexpected mutation potentials, survival codes embedded in genetic structures that defied conventional biological understanding. As the day progressed, Jay collected more than just genetic material. He gathered behavioral data, communication patterns, subtle human interactions that revealed layers of complexity his own civilization had never encountered. A security guard passed nearby. Jay remained calm, his holographic disguise perfect in every detail. Years of training had prepared him for this moment. Infiltration was an art form and he was a master. Lunch ended. Researchers returned to their workstations. Jay continued his careful data collection, each movement deliberate and precise. By late afternoon, he had what he came for: genetic samples, computer data, behavioral observations. The human facility had been thoroughly studied, its secrets slowly unraveling under his sophisticated analysis. As he prepared to leave, a strange sensation swept through him. Something unexpected, a hint of admiration for these human researchers, their passion, their relentless pursuit of knowledge. But he quickly suppressed the emotion. He was a hunter, they were his target. The day ended. The facility's lights dimmed, security systems activated. Another typical day in the world of scientific research. No one realized that something extraordinary had happened, that an alien infiltrator had walked among them collecting the most valuable resource in the galaxy: human genetic potential. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this part of the story? The city streets became a complex battlefield of cat and mouse. Yuna knew something was wrong. The genetic samples from her research facility had been tampered with, and her scientific instincts were screaming. Jay realized his careful infiltration was no longer invisible. Humans, particularly Yuna, had begun to notice the microscopic irregularities in their research data. His mission was becoming complicated. Seoul's urban landscape transformed into a hunting ground. Surveillance cameras, traffic systems, public transportation networks, each became a potential tracking mechanism. Yuna assembled a small team of trusted researchers, each bringing unique skills to their unusual investigation. Her primary colleague, Park Sung-ho, was a data analysis expert. He discovered strange digital fingerprints embedded in their research systems. tiny algorithmic signatures that didn't match any known computer language. "These aren't human algorithms," Sung-ho whispered, showing Yuna the complex digital patterns. Jay watched from a distance. His advanced holographic technology allowed him to blend seamlessly into crowded street scenes. A businessman here, a delivery worker there, each disguise perfect, each movement calculated. But humans were proving more challenging than he anticipated. Their ability to connect random information, to intuit patterns beyond pure logical reasoning, was extraordinary. Yuna's team began tracking unexplained equipment malfunctions, strange data interruptions, microscopic genetic alterations that seemed to appear and disappear without explanation. One evening, while working late, Sung-ho discovered a microscopic tracking device hidden within their most secure research equipment. It was technology far beyond current human capabilities. Alien technology. The hunt intensified. Jay realized he was no longer just collecting genetic information. He was being hunted, studied, challenged by a species that refused to be simple. Research subjects, urban environments became his camouflage. Busy subway stations, crowded street markets, corporate office buildings. Each location provided potential escape routes and observation points. Yuna's scientific methodology was relentless. She began creating complex algorithmic models to predict the intruder's potential movements. Her team worked around the clock, analyzing every microscopic piece of evidence. Their investigation revealed something remarkable. The intruder wasn't just collecting genetic data. He was studying human behavioral patterns, communication systems, survival mechanisms. Jay's technological advantages started feeling less certain. Humans adapted faster than any species he had. Hand-counted, they solved problems through collective intelligence, individual creativity, unexpected collaborative strategies. A surveillance camera caught a momentary glitch in his holographic disguise, just a millisecond. But it was enough. Yuna's team now had a potential tracking method. The city became a complex chessboard, each movement calculated, each interaction potentially dangerous. Jay understood something profound was happening. These humans were not just research subjects. They were extraordinary survivors, adaptive, unpredictable. Their genetic potential was more complex than his civilization had ever imagined. Yuna stood in her research center, city lights reflecting off computer screens. She knew the alien was close, watching, studying, hunting. But humans were hunters too. The night grew deeper. The city continued its relentless rhythm. Millions of humans moved through streets, unaware of the extraordinary hunt happening around them. Jay's mission was changing. What began as a simple genetic research expedition was becoming something much more complex. A confrontation was inevitable. The hunt continued. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this part of the story? The underground research facility was cold and silent. Yuna knew he was coming. Jay knew she was waiting. Concrete walls echoed with tension. Advanced monitoring systems hummed quietly. Outside, Seoul remained unaware of the extraordinary encounter about to unfold. Jay's technological advantages seemed overwhelming. Holographic camouflage, advanced scanning capabilities, weapons beyond human understanding. But something felt different this time. Yuna had prepared. Her team had analyzed every microscopic detail of the alien's previous movements. They understood his technology might be superior, but human creativity was unpredictable. The first wave of confrontation happened digitally. Computer systems battled in milliseconds, algorithmic attacks, defensive protocols, each side probing for weakness. Jay's initial surprise was how quickly humans adapted. Where his civilization would require months of strategic planning, humans improvised. They solved problems through collective intelligence and unexpected creativity. Security door suddenly opened. Yuna stood alone, facing the alien infiltrator. No weapons, no advanced technology, just human determination. "We know why you're here," she said simply. Jay's holographic disguise flickered. For the first time, he appeared partially visible, part human, part something entirely different. His technological systems were failing against human ingenuity. The facility's backup systems, designed by Yuna's team, began systematically neutralizing his advanced technologies. Each defensive mechanism was countered with a human-designed solution. "Your genetic potential is extraordinary," Jay responded, his voice a mixture of technological translation and genuine admiration. Humans weren't just a research subject anymore. They were a challenge, a species that defied conventional understanding of biological and technological evolution. Sung Ho and the research team worked rapidly in a secondary control room. Their collaborative approach was turning technological superiority into a complex strategic dance. Jay realized something profound. Humans didn't just survive. They transformed challenges into opportunities. Their genetic code contained an adaptability beyond simple biological survival. The confrontation wasn't just physical. It was intellectual, philosophical. A meeting of two completely different approaches to existence. Technological systems crashed. Holographic disguises failed. For the first time, Jay was truly exposed. Yuna's approach was unexpected. Instead of attacking, she observed, studied, analyzed. Her scientific curiosity overrode fear or aggression. "Why are you really here?" she asked. The question caught Jay off guard. No previous species had ever asked about motivation. They had only responded with fear or aggression. Backup systems activated. The facility's internal defenses demonstrated a level of adaptive intelligence that surprised even Jay. Humans had designed their technology to learn, to adapt, to evolve. Outside the facility, emergency protocols remained unactivated. This confrontation would remain a secret. Jay's technological superiority began crumbling, not through force, but through human creativity, collaborative problem-solving, an ability to see solutions where technology only saw obstacles. "Your genes," Jay finally said, "are not just genetic material. They're living poetry of survival." Yuna smiled, a human response that completely confused the alien's computational understanding. The confrontation wasn't a battle. It was a revelation. Humans were something extraordinary, a species that couldn't be defined by traditional technological or biological measurements. As facility systems stabilized, Jay realized his mission had fundamentally changed. He was no longer a hunter. He had become a witness to human potential, to human possibility, to a species that refused to be categorized. The underground facility returned to silence. But everything had changed. "Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this part of the story?" The diplomatic space station hung silent between Earth and distant star systems. Neutral ground. A place where extraordinary conversations could happen. Jay sat across from Yuna, no longer hidden behind holographic disguises. His true form was different, more angular, with complexities humans would struggle to understand. But something had changed in his eyes, no longer a hunter, now something closer to a guardian. "Your genetic potential is beyond anything my civilization has encountered," Jay said quietly. Yuna understood the profound transformation happening. What began as a hunt had become something unexpected. Mutual respect, curiosity, a recognition of something greater. Her research team had discovered the deeper truth. Jay's civilization had been searching the galaxy for species with extraordinary adaptive capabilities. Humans weren't just another research subject. They were potential saviors. Technological systems around them monitored every microscopic interaction. But the real communication happened beyond technology, in subtle human gestures, in the way Jay's alien understanding was slowly transforming. "We are not a species to be conquered," Yuna explained. "We are a testament to adaptation." The space station's artificial environment hummed softly. Outside, distant stars witnessed a moment of extraordinary potential. Jay's civilization had spent millennia collecting genetic information, studying, analyzing. But humans were different. They didn't just survive, they transformed. They evolved through collective intelligence. Sung Ho and the research team had prepared extensive documentation, not as a defensive measure, but as an invitation, a bridge between two completely different understanding of existence. "Your people need protection," Jay said suddenly. There are threats in the galaxy you cannot yet understand. Una realized the hunt had transformed into something more. Protection, understanding, a potential alliance. Genetic data streams flickered on surrounding screens. Each revealed layers of human potential, adaptability, resilience, an ability to find solutions where others saw only problems. The space station felt different, no longer a place of potential conflict, now a location of extraordinary possibility. Jay's technological systems began recalibrating, not to hunt, but to defend, to understand, to protect. "We will guard your genetic diversity," he said. The words carried weight beyond simple translation. Humans had something unique, a combination of emotional intelligence, technological creativity, biological adaptability that defied conventional scientific understanding. Una's team had prepared extensively, not just scientific data, but cultural information, music, art, literature, the things that made humans more than just a biological system. The diplomatic space station became a bridge between species, between understanding. Jay's civilization would now view humans differently, no longer a research subject, but potential allies, extraordinary survivors. "Your genes are not just genetic material," Jay repeated. "They are living poetry of survival." Surrounding technological systems continued monitoring, recording, analyzing. But the real transformation happened in something less measurable: understanding. Humans had converted a potential alien threat into an unexpected alliance. The space station continued its silent orbit, witnessing a moment that would change everything. Two species, one extraordinary understanding. The hunt was over. The real journey was just beginning. Would you like me to elaborate on any specific aspect of this part of the story?